Hello, class. Today we are going to start the activity for the Men Who Built America Frontiersmen, Episode 1. We are going to be creating a map of the U.S. in 1763. All right, just so that we know the locations that we're going to be watching on the documentary. We're going to be watching parts of this documentary, all right? And so I want you to know where these things are happening. So, bless you. I'm going to go ahead and get my pens, and I'm going to label the map. You may follow along with me. Okay, so I'm going to start by labeling my 13 British colonies. And I'm going to do so by using state abbreviations. Okay, you ready? Everybody ready? Some of you don't look ready in the back over there. Okay, so this and this are both Massachusetts. The territory of Maine is not, no, the territory of Maine is not independent. If I were you, I'd write it in pencil in case I make a mistake. All right, which one is this? New Hampshire. Okay. Okay, now let's go under Massachusetts, this tiny one. The tiny one right here is Rhode Island. I'm going to say R-I. Okay, the one next to Rhode Island is Connecticut, so I put CT. West of Connecticut, west of these collectively are known as New England, right? West of New England, we have New York. Okay. And then what goes with New York almost all the time? New Jersey. So that's going to be right here. And then what goes with New Jersey almost all the time? Pennsylvania, right? Philly. All right, if anybody's from Philly, South Jersey and Philly are like one culture region. So we're going to put Pennsylvania here, PA. Now you've got this one. It looks like it has an L-shaped boundary, very geometric boundary over there. So that one is Delaware. President is from Delaware. Now you'll be able to date the video, age the video based on who was the president at the time. Now, which one is west of Delaware? This weird one with funky boundaries based on rivers. Maryland. MD. Then south of Maryland is Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Okay, so we've got all 13 British colonies. The next thing we need to do is British Canada. So I'm just going to write Canada up here, north of the Great Lakes. Okay. The next thing I'm going to put on here is the Appalachian Mountains. So, you know, I like to do the mountains in the brown. So I'm going to start here in western Georgia, and I'm going to run the entire length. All right. Now, over here, I'm going to draw this next to the Appalachian Mountains so that I remember that's what they are, because I'm not going to label them. And I know that I have Put them on my map. Next thing I have to put on the map is the Great Lakes, all 5 of them. So let's start with this one over here. This is the easternmost lake is Lake Ontario. Ontario. Next to that, I got a mule and her name is Sal. 15 miles on the Erie Canal. All right. That's Lake Erie. We're going to build, it's an E-R-I-E. It doesn't say Eric, it says Erie. Have you heard of Erie, New York? Okay. This one is called Lake Huron, just like the tribe from that area. This one, because it forms the boundary of the state of Michigan, well, that's why we named it Michigan. But the lake is named Lake Michigan. And then the big lake is Lake Superior. Lake Okeechobee is a big lake, but it's not on the map. Well, actually, it is on the map now. All right, so we've got our Great Lakes. Next thing we have to do are our 2 rivers. We've got the Ohio River and the Mississippi. I'm going to start with the Mississippi. Now, I'm going to teach you some geography tricks. You ready? Do you see how Lake Superior, you see how this tiny little part sticks out? It almost looks like it's pointing. It points at the Mississippi. And the Mississippi goes from Lake Superior and winds its way down to New Orleans, to the Gulf of Mexico. You are? Oh, you're gonna have so much fun. I love it. It's one of my favorite cities. You're gonna go to a place when you're there called Jackson Square, okay? Okay, maybe you guys, when you'll drive right past it, when you go past it on I-10, you take the bridge, okay? You'll see the Mississippi River. Oh, cool. All right, so now we've got the Mississippi on here, and I should probably label it. Mississippi River. Okay, to add the Ohio River, okay? I want you to find the southern border of Virginia, and I want you to imagine that the earth is curved and that this line is going to curve. So you see this little indentation I have right here? It kind of lines up with Virginia. This is the Ohio River, and it winds and does that. It does form the southern boundary of Ohio. Nope. Now, if I show you this, you'll see how the rivers go. Okay, so here's Virginia. You can see the southern end of Virginia. It lines up. There's the Mississippi, and there's the Ohio. All right, now notice that the source of the Ohio River is what? What is the source of the Ohio River? Where's the Ohio River flowing out of? No, this is the end of the Ohio River. So what is the Ohio running out of? The Appalachian Mountains, snowfall. And the precipitation from the mountains, it runs down. And the Ohio River feeds into the Mississippi. They run south, okay? And empty into the Gulf of Mexico. Now I gotta label the Ohio River. Okay, so now I got my Ohio River and my Mississippi River. Next thing I need, Proclamation Line, 1763. So I'm gonna get my red pen and I'm gonna use a red line to show the proclamation. Okay, so the proclamation line runs the length of the colonies. It runs the length of the Appalachian Mountains. Instead of adding it to the side, I simply drew a red line up here so that I could have it on my key, because symbols that I don't have labeled, I need to add on my key. And now I've labeled this so I can cross that out. All right. Now, we're going to add on Indian territories. You ready? I'm going to use green. Okay. So, this area was designated to be Indian territory by the king. This was the reason that he drew the proclamation line, to keep the Native Americans and the Americans, the British Americans, from coming into conflict with each other. So the proclamation line is there to prevent more war, you know, like the French and Indian War. Now, who lives out here? Indians, okay? So we could say Indian territory. And this territory too could be considered to be Indian territory because it's occupied by Native Americans. But this land was specifically designated as an Indian reserve. The British were trying to prevent more conflict, to prevent another major war in North America. Haha. Okay. So I'm going to cross off Indian territories. Now I'm going to add Kentucky. Okay. This is the Kentucky territory, right south of the Ohio River, along the Ohio River, and it stretches over into the Appalachian Mountains near Virginia and North Carolina. Okay. What state's going to be south of Kentucky one day? Tennessee. Georgia's here. Tennessee is going to be here. So here's the Kentucky territory. The next episode we'll get into the Tennessee territory. This is where we're going to talk about Davy Crockett. All right. And then up here in the Indiana territory and the Ohio territory, where we're going to talk about William Henry Harrison and Andrew Jackson as they tried to ethnically cleanse the area of Native Americans. Okay. All right. Now, what else do we have to put on our map? East and West Florida. Let's do that. And then we're going to wait for the Wilderness Road. All right. So we'll do this one real quick. Indian territories there. Now, do you see where New Orleans is here? Right? Because the Mississippi empties there. So you just come right above it, and you're going to draw a line that goes straight across. Let me zoom in so you can see. Okay, so here's the city of New Orleans is right here. We go straight up and across. Okay, now to add East and West Florida. Okay, so there's a river that runs through here. I'm going to go ahead and draw this line. West Florida is going to get more territory, but not until like later in the 1760s. So our map is in 1763. So we're just going to leave it like that. Okay, so this is West Florida, and this is East Florida. The capital of West Florida was Pensacola, and the capital of East Florida was Jacksonville. Why did they pick Tallahassee when they unified the two parts? Tallahassee became the capital city because it was in between the other two capitals. Okay, most of this part of the state was not occupied. Okay, so here is the map. Everything except for the Wilderness Road, and you'll add the Wilderness Road on in class later as we watch the documentary that accompanies this assignment. And there you go.